Good morning, everybody. We're going to go on ahead with our great book, The Whipping Boy by Sid Fleischman. We're on chapter 7. Looks like Jemmy and Prince Brat, also known as Prince Horace, are running into some problems. They've been kidnapped by Cutwater and Hold Your Nose Billy. And we're going to find out what happens. Chapter 7, Being an Account of a Great Mix-Up. Cutwater rummaged around in a black oak chest of stolen goods. Handkerchiefs flew out like soiled white doves, worn shoes, ladies' combs, a cowbell, a junk heap. They've had lean pickings, these raggedy pair of highwaymen, Jemmy thought. And maybe not as smart and clever as the song sellers made out. Here's a scrap of paper, Billy, said Cutwater, finding it in the pocket of a stolen coat. But how are we going to do the scribblement? We can't write. I've seen it done. Sharpen us a hawk's feather, Cutwater. I'm hungry, complained the prince. I'll have a veal pie, sir. Hold Your Nose Billy ignored him. He poked around for a beetroot and squeezed out the juice with his bare hand. It dripped like blood onto a china plate. There's ink for you, Prince. Take the hawk's feather and scratch out our message. Prince Brat folded his arms. I don't take orders from curs and villains. Think of your paw, said Hold Your Nose Billy. He'll be ever so much obliged to know you're safe and hearty. I told you I'm hungry. You won't eat a bean till you do us the document. But I can't write, blurted out Prince Brat. And crows can't fly, erupted the big outlaw with a blast of garlicky breath. You're a prince. Kings and such like are learned to write and read soon as they tumble out of the cradle. Don't think you can pull the wool over our eyes. Hop to it. But I can't so much as scratch my own name. Jemmy shot a calculating glance at Prince Brat. His pesky hide hardly seemed worth saving, but a scheme had leaped into his head. He might be able to trick these mangy outlaws into letting the prince go. Jemmy would be rid of Prince Brat once and for all. Give me the hawk's quill. I'll write the words, he announced. That's right, Prince Brat chimed in. My whipping boy knows his letters. Fall to, Jemmy, from the streets. Hold on, said Hold Your Nose Billy, his sharp gaze flickering from one boy to the next. This ignorant whipping boy knows his letter, and the royal prince can't sign his own name? Something's amiss here. What you thinking, Billy? Asked Cutwater. I'm thinking these lads have mixed themselves up to fluxum us. Jemmy lifted his chin arrogantly and tried to look as prince-like as possible. Nonsense! I'm a mere whipping boy. The big man rumbled up a laugh, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. You take us for bedrock numbskulls, certain as eggs is eggs. You're the prince, the genuine, straight up and down, royal highness. Prince Brat's face turned red as a hot iron. That ratty street orphan, he bellowed. That low-born. Silence, Jemmy commanded. Can't you see the game is up? They're onto us. Hold your tongue. But I'm his royal highness. God, Jemmy thought. This haughty prince didn't have the sense of a gnat. Couldn't he see a plan afoot? Save your breath, snapped Jemmy. Stop giving yourselves air, you witless servant boy. Servant boy, dare you address me? Bag your head, snapped Hold Your Nose Billy. Give him a kick, Cutwater, if we hear another peep out of him. Hand me the hawk's feather, said Jemmy. I'll write my papa, the king. It's a good idea, huh? Jemmy's thinking. Chapter 8, The Ransom Note. You know what I always say in the library, good readers make predictions. He knows that Hold Your Nose Billy, and Cutwater can't read. Is he obliged to write down what they say to write? Hold Your Nose Billy tilted the princely crown on his head. What you writ down so far? Jemmy glanced up from the sheet of paper. To the king's most sacred majesty, dear papa. Aye, that sounds proper respectful. What else? Our captors are loyal subjects, but scoundrels by trade. Don't cross them. Make that a mite stronger, said the outlaw, beginning to pace. Tell him we're shameful mean, and rough as a stack full of nails. Warn him we fear no gallows. Jemmy dipped the quill in beet juice and continued scrambling. I'll tell him you've got reserved seats in hell. Aye, that's the ticket. Cutwater began gnawing away on a roasted pheasant, and his cheeks swelled out as if he had had a monstrous toothache. What about the king's soldiers, Billy? Now the fog's lifted, they'll be following the lad like a trail of ants. Puts my spine a shiver. Faugh! Exclaimed Hold Your Nose, Billy. Even rabbits get mixed up and lost in this forest. We're well hid, Cutwater. I'll warn Papa, Jemmy offered generously, that if you spy out a single uniform, you'll crack my neck like a chicken's. Prince Brat sat sullenly on a pile of moldy bedstraw. He glared icily at the whipping boy who had seized his royal title. And don't forget the reward, Billy, said Cutwater. We want the prince's rate in gold bangers, right? Tell the king that, directed Hold Your Nose, Billy, in big letters. Now let me reckon out a safe spot to deliver the loot. Jemmy dipped the quill and then paused. Gaw, he thought. It's not enough to choose my words as if I were a prince. Show some high and mighty, Jemmy. Think like a prince. So there we see them. I guess that's Hold Your Nose, Billy, and that's Cutwater. And there's the garlic that Hold Your Nose, Billy loves to eat. And there's Prince Brat, and there's Jemmy, so clever. Dimwits, he flared up. Catch penny rogues. I will not be exchanged for such a trifle. My mere weight, a paltry treasure you could carry on a shoulder. How dare you insult me? Hold Your Nose, Billy's red eyebrows shot up in bewildered surprise. Insult you? A trifle? A prince is worth a prince. Ransom. The eyebrows lowered as quickly as they had risen. No offense meant, lad. How would you calculate a proper ransom? A wagon load of gold at the very least, and jewels mixed in. As I'm alive, a wagon load. Cutwater gulped down the wad of fowl in his mouth. We did forget about jewels, Billy. A wagon load it is then, exclaimed the hairy outlaw. Prince Brat's mouth fell wide open at the whipping boy's nervy mischief. Hold Your Nose, Billy stood over Jemmy's shoulder and watched the words being scratched out. Finally said, Have you made your sign yet? About to, said Jemmy. With as much flourish as he could manage, he wrote, Your obedient son, Prince Horace. To be continued.